in all honesty, up to the last minute, I hesitated in doing this program. But then as we began to pray and seek God, we realized this is a program that you must see. Now, most of you know, our gift, one of our gifts this month is the calendar showing God's appointed times. The last day this program shows is the day before October 7th, and it's the end of Rosh Hashanah, which leads us into the Feast of Tabernacles. Why is this important? Because my fear is the further we get away from October 7th, a year ago, when Israel faced the worst massacre, the Jewish people, since the Holocaust, that we'll forget the enemy that they're facing and we're facing. This program will, in my belief, open your heart and your eyes, not just to show the enemy of Israel and Christianity, but show you where we are on God's appointed time. The windows of heaven are about to open up over Israel, I believe in November over America, and today over you. It looks crazy, but let me promise you, let me prophesy to you, the best is yet to come. Watch this program. It will move you into Bible prophecy. Hi, everybody. We're Pastors Larry and Tiz Huch.
We want to welcome you to our YouTube channel and invite you to subscribe and be a member of all the resources that we make available to you.
Almost a year ago, right after the massacre of Hamas against Israel on October 7th, I felt led of God to go over there. And the reason I felt led by God to go over there is I'm watching on most of America's news programs and saying it's exaggerated, it really didn't happen, or even Israel did this themselves. So I went over there to document what took place, to see it with my own eyes. And I got to tell you, the media did get it wrong, because it was 1,000 times worse than anything we were seeing in the news here in America or around the world. But one of the amazing things is, and I want you to hear this, is that we hear so much about the civilians in Gaza. I talked to people that were there. You're going to see a lady. I stood in the kibbutz, in the farming community, right a stone's throw away from Gaza, that they worked down there. She lived down there trying to bring peace between Palestinians and Israelis. I stood there. I stood on ground covered with blood. I held up a My Little Pony baby's diary covered with blood, and I heard the stories. You're going to today listen to the testimony of a lady by the name of Aviva. And I thought, in ancient Hebrew, there's no word for coincidence. My granddaughter's name is Aviva. This Aviva that you're going to see the interview today was a hostage with her husband for 51 days. Her husband, almost a year later, is still a hostage. And by the way, he's an American. He's not an Israeli. He's an American. And you don't hear one thing by the Democratic Party about the hostages that are still there in Gaza almost 1 year later, 115 of them. One of them is Keith, an American, and he is Aviva's husband. I almost didn't show you this, but I promise you, we edited out the worst parts because what you're about to hear is horrible. But what she told us was beyond human understanding. Watch this and let God move you on why we need to, you and I need to stand with the nation of Israel.
My whole neighborhood are the people that were killed, burnt alive. The 2 children burnt alive. 2 children, one 9 and one 7, that hid themselves in the cupboard for 19 hours while their mother was dead in front of their eyes. And I know of a family that they found them hugging on the bed and just shot.
Oh.
I know that they burnt people alive. And they raped people. I know one of the things that's very hard for me to think about it is that people were shot and they couldn't bring anybody to help them. And they called their family and spoke to their family while they were still alive. And they died slowly. Can you think about anything worse than that for a family to think about?
No.
When we say, at least he's not suffering anymore because he's dead, but they died slowly. Keith and I were taken in our pajamas from our house, and people asked me, didn't you think that it could happen? No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
how could I think about something like that? If I thought about something like that, I wouldn't have lived there.
Yeah.
It was all beyond what happened. On Kibbutz Be'eri, 100 houses were burnt.
Yeah.
50 of those houses, there's nobody to go back to.
Yeah.
There's no houses to build for because the people were killed.
They're dead.
They did. 50. I'm telling you all these things because the same kind of people were with me for 51 days, for 7 weeks and 2 days. And Keith is still with them. And the hostages are with those people that are mean. They don't see you as people. And they don't give you any kind of respect of being people. When I came out, people asked me, did they respect you because you're old? And I said, no, they didn't. They pushed me, they pulled my hair, they shouted at me. They were so brutal that they starved me, and they starved Keith and the girls that were with us while they ate in front of us. Can you believe that?
So they're
That somebody would
starving you
do that.
while
They're
they're
starving
eating in
while
front
they're
of you.
eating in front of us.
They didn't treat you like a human.
They didn't treat, we didn't, first of all, they didn't give us any human right. At all, nothing. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to feel. We weren't allowed to hug. We weren't allowed to cry. We weren't allowed to move. They took control of everything that they could. Everything. I don't understand it. I just don't understand how people, humans, could do things like that to people. That people asked me if I had hope. And they took my hope away. And they took me away so many times that I just wanted to die. I used to tell myself, okay, please just kill me and I'll finish with all of this. Because whenever Keith needed to go to the bathroom, I was scared that something would happen to Keith. If they took Keith to a different room, like to talk to him or to do whatever they did, different things, I was scared.
Sure.
That something would happen to Keith.
Sure.
Or I was scared that Keith would die in front of me and I would see him dead. And that we would die slowly. And I just, so many times, had that need of just, I want to just vanish from this world. Don't want to be here anymore. And Keith is still there. When Keith and I arrived to Gaza, on the way they pushed us and Keith was hurt. They broke his ribs. And they shot us.
They shot you?
They shot us. They shot us.
And they shot Keith?
And they shot Keith. It hit Keith's hand.
It wasn't, they just shot him.
They just shot us. And that's how he got to Gaza in terrible, terrible pain. And I was the only one that took care of Keith. And the family that came into the tunnel with us from Gaza, the mother with 3 children, she told us that her daughter had fainted and they told her to wake her up and she couldn't, and they shot her.
Oh.
And they shot her in front of the mother. So the mother was saying, they shot my daughter, and I said to her, maybe she's going to be okay. Somebody will take care of her, don't worry. And she said, they shot my husband.
Oh.
And they killed him. So I said, maybe your daughter isn't dead. Maybe they'll find a way and the ambulance will come and take her. And she said, no, they shot her face.
They shot her face.
They shot her face in front of her mother.
The little girl.
The little girl. In front of her mother, in front of her brothers and sister. One of the days, one of the girls went to the bathroom, and while she came back, I could see on her face that something happened. When she came back, she was very quiet, and the whole room was quiet. We were just like looking at each other in the eyes, and we knew that something bad had happened. And after a couple of hours, she came to me and she said, "He touched me." We were scared all the time. We were tortured all the time in many different ways.
The war against Israel continues to intensify on many fronts. Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah all have one demonic goal: to see the complete destruction of Israel. In his recent visit to the Holy Land, Pastor Larry went to the northern border to see firsthand just how dangerous things have become. He met with the mayor of the small town of Meron and found out the school children do not have adequate bomb shelter space to protect them from incoming rockets. He immediately made the commitment to fund a large, permanent bomb shelter that will protect these innocent children from the terrorist missile attacks. Today, we're asking you to help us with this critical effort. Your offering will be put to work immediately to make a tangible, life-saving difference. Just for calling to express your support for Israel, we want to bless you by sending you Pastor Larry's teaching, The Shofar, God's Wake-Up Call. These 2 sermons on one CD will teach you how God has ordained the shofar to be a powerful biblical weapon of spiritual warfare. With your offering of any size, we'll add this special 16-month Jewish Christian calendar. Each month displays beautiful photography from throughout the Holy Land, includes all of the biblical and U.S. holidays, and so much more. It will definitely become one of the most valuable biblical resources in your home. Whether you can contribute $20, $200, or $2,000, we assure you it will make an immediate difference. So please take a few moments right now and call us at 800-978-8546 to express your support and give to the Bomb Shelter Project. You can also donate through our secure website at larryhuch.tv or by mailing your offering to the address on the screen. Plus, now you can donate by texting the word Israel along with your gift amount to 28950, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. But the fastest way to be a blessing is to call us at 800-978-8546. With so much of the world turning against Israel, Pastor Larry is asking those who love the Lord to take a strong stand and support Israel, both prayerfully and financially. There's no better seed to sow than when it goes toward blessing Israel and protecting these innocent Jewish children. So thank you in advance for your generosity and for standing with us as we stand with Israel. Now, let's rejoin Pastor Larry.
You know, I was in the very kibbutz, as I said, where Aviva and Keith, her husband, lived. They lived there to try to bring peace between the Palestinians and Israelis. We edited some of the stuff that we didn't want to put on air because it was so graphic what these hostages went through. I've talked to other hostages. I've talked to families of hostages where the hostages themselves can't talk about it anymore. She couldn't breathe. They were in tunnels that there was no air for days and days, no bathroom, no food, no water, no air. We're going to go back to another part of the interview with Aviva. And once again, we've cut out the worst, but we want you to understand there are 115 to 120 still there. When we're hearing people say death to Israel, where is our present government on saying, let those people go? Watch this.
One of the days, one of the girls was called by a Hamas terrorist out of the room. And and then he brought her back and he told her to get dressed. And she started getting dressed, and she turned around and she said that she's scared that he's going to take her. And she just said those two words, she's scared that he's going to take her. And he took her hair, he took her hair and pushed her, pulling her hair on the floor with the gun in front of her face and telling her one more word, I'm going to kill you. And I asked her, why didn't you scream? And she said, I didn't want to give them the pleasure. But she was scared that they would hit her even more by screaming. Can you believe something like that? And I had to see that in front of my eyes.
Were you in a home? Were you in the tunnels? Where were you?
We were in, Keith and I were moved 13 times, and we were in tunnels and we were in houses. When we arrived to the tunnel, we walked and we had to figure out where to put the next step because it was so dark. The terrorist was walking in front of us with a torch on his head, but we couldn't really see where we were going. And we walked and walked, and he said that it's 40 meters underneath the ground.
So, excuse me, was it pitch black?
It was nearly pitch black. It was nearly, we couldn't even see anything. And we couldn't talk because we were finished. We were just trying to figure out how to breathe. And I remember myself lying there and saying, please, 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 just don't let Keith die before me. I want to be able to see that. And then Keith looked at me and he was like this. He said, I feel that I can't breathe. And there was no water for us to drink there.
For how long?
For days.
For days?
For days.
Not hours, days?
No, for days. And I was sure that I'm going to die. And then when he came down, he said, good news, I found a house. So we looked at each other and we said, we're going to live, we're going to have air. And when we were walking up, the girl with me said to me, I can't believe it, how you ran up those stairs, because I was finished. And she said, there must be some God that helped you come up the stairs, because I was finished. I didn't even think that I would make it.
Yeah.
And I remember us saying to each other, we're going to live, we can have air. And when we came up, we just said, air, we're going to live. And you get that feeling that you're going to live. But they didn't tell us that we're going to be moved to a house with the worst monsters in the world. They just starved us, laughed at us. We weren't allowed to stand. We weren't allowed to move. They made it pitch dark most of the time, so we couldn't even see each other. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to whisper.
This was a home, somebody's house.
That was somebody's house, a Hamas terrorist house.
Did he have family?
In the room next door, there was a mother and 3 children. And I saw the children a couple of times when they let them out of the room. And I saw the mother once.
And what did this mother and children think about?
They were I don't know, but when I think about it, that she was there knowing that her husband was behaving like he did, torturing us and hitting us and starving us and shouting at us and making it dark for us and locking the door and not letting us go to the bathroom. We weren't able to even have showers to clean our bodies. They used to lie about everything,
Sure.
everything.
Sure.
There wasn't anything that was truth. They used to say all the time, no Israel. The whole world has bombed Israel.
They would tell you the whole world has bombed Israel.
The whole world is bombed, that we'll never be able to go back to Israel. It belongs to Hamas. And I believed them. I believed them. I lost my hope there.
So
it was so scary.
Yeah.
I was sure that I would never, ever survive.
You know, as the world is showing anti-Israel, anti-Semitic demonstrations all over the world, I want you to understand something that I learned when I was down there. People who were there in these kibbutz, people who witness murders and rapes and butchering beyond anything we can imagine. they told us that the first wave of those that came in were Hamas warriors or soldiers. The second wave that came in were just civilians from Gaza, and they did things as bad, if not worse, than the first wave of the soldiers that came in. But understand, when we talk about war and we talk about soldiers, we're not talking about soldiers coming in and fighting Israeli soldiers. We're talking about people coming in and raping women and children, cutting off babies' heads. And I know we don't want to hear this, but you need to understand there's never been a more important time to not listen to the propaganda of anti-Semitism and stand up loud and bold and clear. Vote, one with our voice, another one with our donations, and another one with our voting. We have an administration. You know, when I went over there and I talked with government officials, a good friend of mine in the government, high up in the government, said, listen, Biden's going to help us. And so I know you don't care for Biden, but back down. I said, he's going to say, this administration is going to say they're going to help Israel, but they're not going to do it. And this present administration has not sent the weapons that Israel needs to fight and defend themselves against not only what happened out of Gaza, but now what's happening in the north with Hezbollah in Syria and Iran. When we were at these kibbutz, there are bomb shelters in there, but these bomb shelters had no handles on the doors, no locks, because they're against bombs, not against terrorists coming in. And so right now, as you've seen what's going on, you need to understand this is happening in the north right now. And we've made a pledge to the communities of the north, one for a giant bomb shelter for the children that's right in the middle of all the schools. This one's about $100,000. It should be being put in right now as we're speaking. We told them to do it before we have the funds to pay for it. So it's being built, it's being put in, and now all we have to do is raise the funds. But along with that, I said, let's do what we were originally going to do, 5 other bomb shelters. They call them mobile because they build them, pick them up on a big tractor trailer and put them in these sites. Let's do 5 more. So we need to raise, maybe you can pay for one bomb shelter that's $20,000. Maybe you can pay for a part of it. Maybe you can pay for the one for all the school children in this area. It's $100,000 or around $100,000. But let's do it because we need to say to all the world as we stand with Israel, the saying that we say when we do the March of the Living from Auschwitz to Birkenau, never again. We are in a covenant relationship with Israel. Right now, we are getting ready to honor the Israelis that lost their lives on October 7th. What a better way to offer to say never again. And we're going into the Feast of Tabernacles where God releases the blessing on every area of our lives. Listen to me. I know for a fact that my grandson and my wife are alive today because we've helped save lives in Israel. Don't you know that as we're going into the most important appointed time in the history of the kingdom of God, you're watching to be a part of Bible prophecy because our best is yet to come. Get ready for the open windows of heaven. Stay with me. I want to pray the miracle power of God on you and your family. I'll be right back.
The war against Israel continues to intensify on many fronts. Iran, Hamas, and Hezbollah all have one demonic goal: to see the complete destruction of Israel. In his recent visit to the Holy Land, Pastor Larry went to the northern border to see firsthand just how dangerous things have become. He met with the mayor of the small town of Meron and found out the school children do not have adequate bomb shelter space to protect them from incoming rockets. He immediately made the commitment to fund a large, permanent bomb shelter that will protect these innocent children from the terrorist missile attacks. Today, we're asking you to help us with this critical effort. your offering will be put to work immediately to make a tangible, life-saving difference. Just for calling to express your support for Israel, we want to bless you by sending you Pastor Larry's teaching, The Shofar, God's Wake-Up Call. These 2 sermons on 1 CD will teach you how God has ordained the shofar to be a powerful biblical weapon of spiritual warfare. With your offering of any size, we'll add this special 16-month Jewish Christian calendar. Each month displays beautiful photography from throughout the Holy Land, includes all of the biblical and U.S. holidays, and so much more. It will definitely become one of the most valuable biblical resources in your home. Whether you can contribute $20, $200, or $2,000, we assure you it will make an immediate difference. So please take a few moments right now and call us at 800-978-8546 to express your support and give to the Bomb Shelter Project. You can also donate through our secure website at larryhuch.tv or by mailing your offering to the address on the screen. Plus, now you can donate by texting the word Israel along with your gift amount to 28950, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. But the fastest way to be a blessing is to call us at 800-978-8546. With so much of the world turning against Israel, Pastor Larry is asking those who love the Lord to take a strong stand and support Israel, both prayerfully and financially. There's no better seed to sow than when it goes toward blessing Israel and protecting these innocent Jewish children. So thank you in advance for your generosity and for standing with us as we stand with Israel. Now, let's rejoin Pastor Larry.
You know, I don't know if you caught what Aviva said in that interview, but she said here they were. They saw the worst, most unbelievable massacre in the history of Jews since the Holocaust. Unbelievable stuff. Ambassador Ron Dermer had me host a video. You know, Hamas videoed what they were doing. It was beyond anything you can imagine. I hosted it at the Israeli embassy in D.C. to 150 Christian leaders, and people were sobbing and weeping, and we cut out the worst part. I don't know if you caught, but she said during that time they told them Israel doesn't exist. It's gone. The whole world bombed Israel. Well, I want you to know something. That can never happen, because God said through Amos the prophet, Israel would return and they will never be uprooted again. So I want to thank you for helping us build these bomb shelters to save Jewish lives, but not only save Jewish lives, fulfill Bible prophecy that Jews and Gentiles would come together. And I cannot wait to hear the miracles that God will bring into your life and your family and your finances, the anointing, the end-time transfer of wealth, signs and wonders and miracles, like lion and like tis, because our God will always do exactly what he says. Father, I release that power, the miracles of God on Israel and all of the covenant friends that stand with the nation of Israel. Next week, I believe Tiz will be with us. And so from Tiz and I to you and your family, thank you so much. We love you. God bless you for standing with us as we stand together for the nation of Israel. Our best is yet to come.